Good morning, Rise Up Nation. Glad to see you here again. Those of you that are going to hop on, this is Rise Up in Real Estate live stream. Just for your information. Hi, Lawton. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
Hello.
I never know how the banners are going to look. Ashley, it looks like we've got you almost with the like and subscribe button. We've got your name almost covered up on my episode. And do you notice there's no vertical option or whatever it's called? I found it in the thing. It was YouTube was asking for it to be put out both ways, and I was just defaulting to that. Well, I got rid of that, so now it should be landscape for everybody. Hopefully you're seeing all of our faces, although I'm having a hard time staying centered. I'm not sure why. Does your camera follow you? How weird is this? Look.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure I can turn that off. But
Ashley's gone. No.
Now mine said I'm not doing that.
Just keep testing.
Why is Ashley going to sleep? So for those of you jumping on, this is our live stream discussion, season 8 of Rise Up in Real Estate. Today we're going to talk about, this is episode 7 of season 8. That's a lot of numbers for this early in the morning, but talk a little bit about AI again. And we're going to talk today, and then this will be edited so it is a live, a podcast production come out on Monday on StreamYard and all the other places. We're trying to figure out, Lawton, what troll might show up today. I'm excited to see who you get to exit stage left. So let's see, I got a private message, which I didn't even know that existed. So there is one. Interesting. I watch Pat McAfee as much as I can. I don't know. Do you, Ashley, have you heard of this guy? Do you watch him at all?
No. Should I?
No, it's sports. You shouldn't. Lawton, do you ever watch his show?
Yeah, sometimes.
So he's got a guy on there. He's got lots of people on there, but one that's regularly on there is a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. And he's super fit. Well, this last time he's also very vain. I can relate. But he had spray tanned himself, and when he was sitting there, like Lawton just made a move. He moved his face in a way that made me think of this. The guy, you couldn't tell that he was spray tanned, but as soon as he smiled, it was like bam, like it was crazy, and they just started making fun of him, the way that he looked, kind of like that troll did last week that hopped on here and made fun of how I looked. But I've gotten over that. My therapist taught me right through it. So
Isn't
anyway,
there a joke about instead of you don't need to get your teeth whitened, you just need to get a spray tan? I guess it
causes the same. I mean, my teeth don't make my skin look. Someone told me this morning I look very tan. I said it's just high blood pressure. That's how it goes. And are our heads staggered? Is Ashley lower than the two of us, Lawton? Is it on my screen? It's like stair steps.
Yeah.
I sit up taller. My chair will be higher.
There you go. I'll move myself down a little bit. Now we're even. Anyway, if y'all are still on here after this nonsense, we're going to talk about good stuff. Let me catch up with Lawton and Ashley about what's going on. Lawton, I know. Are you still in mourning?
Yeah.
What
I mean, the Duke Blue Devils basketball team lost on probably, I'm going to guess, is one of the most historic shots of all time. I mean, that will go down as a moment in history, not for Ashley. Look at her. She could care less.
Nope.
But devastating. I wanted to get your take on it, Lawton. I've got a few ideas, too. Ashley, just stick with us for a minute. We'll talk about dogs in a minute. Tell me what your take is. Everybody's got an opinion, and I've watched them all about John Shire. But tell me your take as a basketball coach. What in the world happened?
Well, it happens to Duke quite frequently because we're always full of freshmen because we get the best players in the world, but they're all 18 years old. So there was – I think there's a lot of things. I think Dan Hurley's a really good coach, and I think he probably the whole time was telling his team, who cares? I mean, they were down 19 in the second half. He was telling his team the whole time, who cares, whatever. I think there was 3 freshmen on Duke that touched the ball on the last play. All 3 of them made freshman mistakes. The first guy that caught it's an 80% free throw shooter, should have just held it. The only thing that could have gone wrong was turn the ball over. And all 3 of them passed it, and one of them ended up being a turnover. But I think that's what happens there's 18-year-olds that maybe in the heat of a moment, even though they've had the cameras on them all their life, they might have a little spastic moment. But I don't know. It's easy to say from the outside. you shouldn't have done this. But I mean, I think all three of those people that caught the ball and passed it with 10 seconds left are crazy. I'm also sitting at home on my couch screaming at them. I'm not having 8 million people watching. So,
well, that's an interesting perspective. I know you're a coach, and that you played high level basketball. So the moment, I mean, there's a lot of life lessons. I've just got so many videos I can do now after watching that. Although my heart was broken, like I felt like I was invested. I can't imagine how they feel. I hate losing. I can't even imagine because they were in complete control of the game. Ashley, they were way ahead, and I told Lawton, I texted him a few times during the game. I said, I don't love it when we get ahead by that many points. For some reason, it always ebbs and flows, and it got down right to the end. And you should watch it, Ashley. Even for someone who's not a sports fan, it would get you excited. I promise you.
All right.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in a link. It'll be 2-hour long link, but anyway. So thank you for your perspective. And Ashley, you had a fun. So in this episode's in memory of the Duke Blue Devils. Ashley, you had some fun this weekend. Tell us what you did in Conway. We're in coastal South Carolina, by the way. Ashley.
Yeah, well, first, I just want to say, if you send me that link, I don't know that I can watch the game because to me, basketball is too squeaky. That's all I can think about when it's on. It's just very squeaky. But this weekend, I went over to Conway. Conway is just awesome. I love their little town. It's so walkable, and the downtown area is just always beautiful. But they had the Dock Dogs competition. So that was my sporting event for the weekend. Is I watched dogs run down a platform and leap into the water and retrieve the little, I don't know what it is, buoy that they're supposed to bring back. And my favorite dog was the one that didn't cooperate and just like put the brakes on at the end of the podium from a full sprint. And then its trainer was trying to tell it to jump in the water. And so it just leapt straight up and then belly flopped straight down and paddled out to get the little toy that it's supposed to retrieve. And I wish I had it on video because I laughed and laughed. It was fantastic.
I bet somebody's got that on video. That would be one that Lawton would use for something. That's great. Yeah, Conway, what a great town Conway is. Just all the events that they do. And I mean, the decorations for Halloween, for Christmas, for Easter, eggs hanging in the trees, shamrocks up and down the street for St. Patrick's Day. Just a great small town America feel. Beautiful on the riverfront there. We all in the river doing this thing, or is it
set up a pool?
Okay,
yeah,
like a real pool. Oh, that's cool.
An above ground pool, and they've got this long runway, and then into the pool, and the pool's marked at how many feet because there's different competitions. Some is like how fast they can retrieve, how far do they jump. I don't know. I think there's competitions for which one's the cutest dog. I'm not sure. So.
And how many people were there? Was it crowded? Was it a lot?
There were a lot of people there, but you never felt crowded walking around. Like there's plenty of space, food trucks, vendors. Our Remax agents had a tent set up. They were giving people boiled peanuts and just chatting and being a part of the festivities. So I loved stopping by to see them also.
That's awesome. Yeah, well done, Remax. I was waiting for a minute. No comments yet on the show, but I don't know if Joey Summers is on the air. He is sometimes, and I'd love for you guys to chime in who's out there. We're going to get to the content of real estate in a minute, but I wanted to tell you guys, Joey and I entered the Smoke Out at the Boathouse. It is a barbecue cooking competition. A big deal. Like several years, this thing's been going on. This year there were 32 teams. It is they raised about $200,000 for this charity. SE needs. Joey's here. Tell me the name of the charity, Joey. I can't remember. SC Needs Help or something like that. Really cool story. I'm gonna give some props to that charity and hopefully have those guys on the show very soon. But we entered it last year. We got an invite to go. There's never spots available in this thing because it's been going on for so long, and people that cook their barbecue are serious. Well, last year, Joey, because of his reputation, got an invitation to get in it. We finished fifth in the the crowd voting, and so they invited us back. So we came this year with an open mind. Joey got there at 12 o'clock on Friday. The show started 12 o'clock on Saturday, so he cooked and prepared all night long. 12 o'clock on Saturday, I felt like everybody in Myrtle Beach, surrounding areas that weren't at the dog thing, came there because there were wall-to-wall people. Everybody comes by and samples our barbecue. Are you putting up comments? No. So here's Joey's here. Look at Joey's. Oh, my God. Change that picture. Hello, Tracy. Nice to see you. Good morning. And the charity's SC Needs Help. I'm going to leave that up there for a minute. So anyway, everybody comes by, samples all 32 teams. A lot of them are professionals. They're selling their own sauce. They've got logos. And here we are with the Remax tent. Joey and Tad and a lot of our kids. Lawton was there for a little while. All of our kids were there. Mandy scooping barbecue and putting it in the thing and serving it. It was just a fun. Joey's family was there. I was out there in front, of course, talking because that's what I do. Would you believe that we finished third overall? Like 32 teams. That what they do is they took the judges' score and the public, like the crowd score, and they added it together for the overall, and we finished third overall, which now we have a spot. Like now they'll invite us back because of that. Joey proved himself unbelievable. Like, and actually, I'll be frank. So we were waiting. I was waiting to see. I thought we wouldn't get a judges vote because these guys other teams are professionals, right? There was restaurants there. Really, there were restaurants there. So they announced the judges winner. They announced the people's winner. And when we didn't get either one, I walked out. Like I left to go break down our tent because I said, there's no way we'll win the overall. I mean, we didn't win any of the other ones. And then about 15 minutes later, Joey's running up the stairs going, we won. So congratulations to Joey and all of his Tim. Also, Tim O'Neill provided an RV. We spent the night out there. I mean, it was crazy. Good morning, Tara. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. You're so faithful to show up. But that was our excitement. So we won $100. I mean, that's kind of anticlimactic, but we did it for a good cause, and then we got invited to these other competitions. So now I'm going to get more sleepless nights. But Joey, good job. You finally got the definition and the recognition that you deserve for all that hard work. We're looking for a food truck sponsor. We might get a food truck, just put Rise Up in Real Estate on the side of it and let Joey drive it around and serve barbecue to everybody. But congratulations to you, my friend. Hey, Graham, another thing that happened, I'm sorry, we're getting real estate. Last night, so back in 2001, I moved here. I was going through a lot, moved here to Myrtle Beach to sell real estate. I happened to land at Plantation Lakes. So I sold lots at Plantation Lakes. Didn't know anything about real estate sales. I was hired by a guy named Ralph Teal and Joey Bren. This guy right here, Graham Nelson, that's on our show, was also there. We were salespeople there. And last night, they had a reunion for us. They said, hey, come have drinks at the Dunes Club, have dinner. Everybody showed up. Everybody was 20 years older. I've never been to a high school reunion. It was so heartwarming to see everybody there, to hear about their families. The guys that led the thing are now in their 80s, and they were all there. It was just remarkable. I told Mandy it was the most heartwarming thing that I've done in a long time. So it was just really remarkable. I'm in a great mood today, as you can probably tell. Joey burnt the beard off of his face. One of his smokers caught on fire, and I was asleep in the camper. He fell asleep. He didn't fall asleep. He tried to put the fire out, and he literally singed his beard to his sweatshirt. But he walked up on stage like this and got the trophy or the $100. So congratulations to him. I'm not sure who this is, but good morning to you. I don't recognize that person, but I'm happy that you're here. And I know that I'm not going to try to say that. If you put your first name, I'll say hello to you appropriately, but welcome to the show. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're Rise Up in Real Estate, Agent of the Future. Rise Up in Real Estate, Agent of the Future. Part of it is AI. Part of it is AI. So we're going to talk today. I thought this was interesting, and I want to get your comment, Ashley and Lawton, on this. I read something recently that said 75% of real estate customers and clients use AI. 75%. My inclination has been all along that AI is a fad, like a thing. It's really a thing. Last week I said it's not. It really is a thing, right? People use it, but we use it because we're in business. I wondered if the public really was using it. Well, I saw that was a pretty reputable source that I got the stat from. I'm not going to tell you who it was because I don't remember, but it was something that I read, and I don't read a lot of junk. What do y'all think of that? I mean, is that number high? Actually, Lawton, what do you think of that? 75%.
Is it 75% using it intentionally, or they just don't even realize that they're using it because of platforms they already go on?
You know what? You're too smart for this freaking show. You're too smart because after doing research, because I'm reading it like, oh my God, 75. It is some unintentional use. I think the breakdown was about 30% are using it like we would, like actively digging in. But the other 45% is using it not by accident, but as part of what they are using. Some tools that they've always used now are driven by AI. So that is it. Lawton, what do you think of that number? Can you see that breakdown? Do you think that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're counting unintentional use, I think 12 months it'll be 100%. I mean, I think everything's adapting it, and if you just go on Google and search something, you just used it. So it's it is a big number, but I also think it won't take long before it's 100%, and then we're not even thinking about the percentage because it's just normal to use it.
Similar to how when Google came out, not everybody right away started using searches. But eventually everyone did. And same thing with YouTube. YouTube didn't used to be a search engine, but now it is, because when Lawton wants to cook his corn dip, that's where he goes. Or when Joey wants to figure out a new way to spice up his sauce, that's where he goes. By the way, his barbecue is phenomenal. I've eaten it a lot of times. What'd you say?
So we're back to barbecue.
All right. Well, I haven't had anything to eat yet today. So Joey, the pressure's on you, buddy. And I know you're right across the hall. So anyway, but I think that's perceptive that we're all using. But that also says more agents are using it than realize it. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of us, wouldn't you say, Ashley, you're teaching classes every day, and Lawton, you're dealing with other agents. There's a lot of people that would say, I'm not going to use AI. I'm not going to adapt. I'm not going to adapt to it. I'm scared of it. I'm just not. Do you hear that sometimes, Ashley?
Oh, for sure. There's resistance on using it, but like I said all along, I think that there's a responsible way to use it, and you can leverage a lot of time, and those agents will start to pull ahead of the pack, the ones that are tuning in and implementing it in smart ways in their business. Yes. But yeah, for sure, some people, I don't want my social media post to sound like AI wrote it. I don't want my MLS description to be an AI written description. I'm going to stand out because I'm going to do all these things myself still. But you can actually get the platforms to still have that human feel if you know how to set it up the right way.
Yeah, and I think I shared with you guys I don't know, Lawton, what you think of this, but my coach told me 30, 40, 30. 30% of effective AI use is the prompt. 40% AI does its thing. And then the other 30% is you going back and making sure that it sounds human and making sure that it's accurate, right? Do you agree with that, Lawton? Is that how you kind of use it?
Yeah, you get burned maybe one or two times, and then you realize that you need to proofread stuff. But yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of people try to use it as maybe 595. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people try to use it as just throw something in real quick, get the answer, maybe scan over and send it. But your answers can get so much more precise and helpful if you give it something better. It can't create very much, but it can. You just have to give it enough information, and if you don't proofread it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, Ashley,
and we're back.
Barbecue's going. There's the logo. That's Joey's logo. How cool is that? Hog's Breath Barbecue. That's pretty cool, huh? Back to real estate.
If the barbecue cook-off is the same weekend as Doc Dogs next year, there should be a fourth category. They should bring all the dogs over and see who wins. The dog's choice, not the people's choice. The dog's choice barbecue.
I think Lawton's mind went where I did. I was like, we're not cooking dogs. We're not.
Oh my gosh. No, the dog come over and eat barbecue. Oh, Tad.
Oh, Tara says she uses back to business. She uses AI regularly. I'd love to know, like, personally, Tara, throw a couple of examples in the chat how you use it. We'll get back to that. Yeah. So, practical, responsible use, effective use. But let's talk a little bit about how clients are using AI, in our opinion. Maybe I have been a real estate client secretively recently. I didn't let anybody know, but I was my own client because we were considering putting our house on the market. We went all the way up to list date, like ready to go live on a Monday, and we changed our mind. But I did all the things. But let's talk about how would a client use AI on purpose or by accident, in y'all's opinion or in your experience, Lawton? Have you had any conversations with clients that are using it? And by the way, the reason we're having this conversation is to make you as real estate agents more comfortable with the fact that they are, so you should be. It's just a thing, and we're all going to need to know. So you need to be aware of what they're doing, because when they sit with you, they've already done it. And if you're going to say I'm not doing that, then they're going to go find somebody else. That's the reason we're talking. So what do y'all think, Ashley, Lawton? What's being used out there that we don't, whether they know it or don't know it?
I think, I mean, again, like I said, don't know it. If you're going on Google and you're reading the first thing you get, it's now AI. I mean, Google caught on pretty quick and realized we need to put that at the top. That's what everybody's doing. I think a lot of people are using ChatGPT or other sources instead of Google, and it's doing the same thing. It just gives you maybe a more full answer. I honestly haven't had a ton of conversations where it comes up like I know they're using it. Honestly, probably 70% of who I work with might be a generation that aren't quite using it fully yet. But I think it's going to get to the point, maybe it's already partly there, like some of the information is not worth much anymore. I mean, it's gotten like that, and it's maybe even explained in a better way to them than you could explain it. So it's going to be really interesting for people in our profession, but every other profession, to figure out how to show their worth when some of the things that you probably use to show your worth with aren't needed anymore. No one needs to pay you for certain little pieces of information that they could figure out on their own. So I think information might be less expensive, less worth it, but the expertise of how to utilize it and how to interact with people and how to get the best interest for them is still something that I don't think a robot's going to be able to do anytime soon. So those are kind of some broad thoughts on it, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, I wanted to say at the end of the show, we're going to talk about barbecue. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about, I've got a question I want to ask everybody. Let's have a quick discussion, something not related to AI that I think is fascinating. We're just going to add it on the end, so stick around for that. Ashley, what are you hearing from agents or from people, or what is your perception of how people are using AI, whether they know it or not?
Yeah, so I still think that AI has some limitations on having all facts correct. Like sometimes it still just tells you what you want to hear. And so that's my hesitation, is that if people are only using AI to gather data, it's not always spot on. And that's where you as an agent can really showcase, maybe there's an interpretation of the fact that you're getting from AI, but let me explain what it's actually like here in this hyperlocal market, because AI is probably giving them national information on housing market or strategy for selling a house or strategy for buying a house. But you as the agent have that hyperlocal information and can help them understand buying a house in South Carolina is going to be a little bit different than buying a house in New York. So let me talk to you about what it's like here. And AI is still giving broader terms overall, or consumers aren't thinking, tell me the differences I need to know in South Carolina. I've only ever bought a house in New York. So overall, I'm still just a little leery of the factual data that AI is going to provide. And I think you can use different platforms and ask the same question and sometimes get different responses. So I love AI for organizing, brainstorming, figuring out your words that you want to put on paper to send emails or messages or content that you want to share to consumers. I love it for all of those things, but I will fact check everything it tells me if it's actually spitting numbers at me. And then even kind of along the lines of brainstorming, I just did something this past weekend where I'm working on building a house, and I have a open concept kitchen right next to the open concept dining area. There's not like a formal dining room and a breakfast nook. There's just like an open concept area. And the dining area has like a vault over the ceiling, and it's 10 feet away from where the kitchen island is. And the kitchen island is over underneath of a flat 9-foot ceiling, just normal ceiling. And so I'm trying to figure out, do I want pendant lights over the island if I'm also going to have a light fixture like a chandelier over the dining table? And so I went to ChatGPT, and it gave me this whole rundown and said, no, it's going to clutter it up. You do recessed lighting in the kitchen only, and then have your highlight feature be over the dining room table. Well, then I went to Google and I asked the same question, and Gemini said, yes, pendant lights over the island, chandelier over the dining table. It helps define the spaces, and this is why you want it. Like, both of them had completely compelling arguments. And so now, after using those tools, I have no idea. I think I'm just going to have some candles. I didn't make a decision at all. It was not helpful. So you can ask different platforms and get completely different responses.
Yeah, it gets, let me throw these up there. I know I need to talk to you, Tara, about parenting advice. I need some help in that area. I hadn't thought about Chat GPT, but social media planning, that's another good thing that Ashley just mentioned about getting on a schedule. Lawton uses that, I'm sure. Look at there. I'm so thankful that she let me know she's on the show. Hi, Mandy. Glad you're here. Now I won't try not to put my foot in my mouth more than I usually do. Ashley, that was interesting. There, Joey used it this week for, I'm not going to say the word, but barbecue this weekend for tips and pointers. I love that. Ashley, you just made a perfect description of where I was headed next with the different platforms, different language models give you different answers. Mm-hmm. And I have noticed, like, I don't know, Sirhan is a real estate guru. Like, he's got his own brand, company, et cetera. He told a story recently of a $50 million deal that he was putting together. Yeah, I said 50 million. And he had it under contract. And what happened was the buyer went to Chat GPT and said, I'm paying X for X. Is this a good deal? And Chat said, no, you should negotiate more, essentially. And the seller went on and said, I got this deal under contract. Am I getting a good deal? And Chat GPT, same language model, told him, no, you could probably get a little bit more, and this is why. So, perfect example of not buyer beware, but user beware, that sometimes Chat tells you what you want to hear. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they're ever going to get rid of that, because you do. I mean, I know they want, like, my Chat feels like my friend, and the friend that always is the yes man, that always agrees. Because every time I ask it something or ask a question, you've really hit on a nerve here, Tad. You've really hit on something that will make you really stand out as a leader in this industry. It's always like someone's pandering, kind of. Mm-hmm. And I might have it set up that way. I don't know, because it's good for my ego or whatever. But you have to be careful, right? And I think this also parlays into Ashley and Lawton. I don't know if you guys do this now or would recommend it, but should there be expectations set? Eventually there will be, but now, with customers and clients about AI usage. I'm going to talk about some examples I've seen real recently of how it's being used by customers and clients. But should you have this conversation up front, Lawton, and say, maybe just a couple of probing questions to figure out if they are an active user, and if they are and they're a seller and they've been told by Chat GPT what their property's worth, you need to know that ahead of time, don't you? I mean, do you have these kind of conversations now, Lawton, or not yet?
No, I don't think yet, because, again, a lot of the people that I work with, I can tell pretty quickly that they don't. But I think it will be something that becomes an interesting conversation you need to have ahead of time. But I think it's some of the same roots of a conversation that you might have about, hey, they come to you and say, hey, this is what Zillow says my house is worth, and I have to explain why it doesn't. Same reason ChatGPT's never been inside your house. It doesn't know that you broke the second stair on your stairwell, like things that it's not going to know. So I think right now, if I brought it up in every client conversation I had, I think one, it might scare some people. Two, I think it would bring up worries that don't need to come up yet. But I think, 6-12 months, it might be a common conversation.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ashley, or not? I've got another question.
Well, on the pricing that Lawton just touched on, if people are asking what their home value, he's right. It's just going to be very similar to what Zillow is pulling. But I actually show our agents how to use ChatGPT as a great pricing tool. But the part that is still a relevant human element is that we're hand picking the properties and downloading the property information as a PDF and asking ChatGPT to help us analyze based on this 7-step pricing strategy. So now I'm giving it the outline of how I want it to behave. And I've also chosen the houses that it actually compares to. I mean, I know here in our market, if you just pull a radius of 1 mile or 2 miles around a house, zoning in South Carolina is wild. You can pull all kinds of different comps, and that's going to throw it off when just a computer is doing the analysis of maybe what the property is worth. But an agent is going to say, I know that this neighborhood that is half mile away is all high-end luxury custom built homes, and I'm trying to price a tract builder home. And so I need to not choose any of those houses. I want it to only look at these properties to do the comparative analysis. And it'll give you fantastic pricing analysis that way. But you have actually input the information instead of letting it grab anything that it happens to find within a certain radius of where that property is. So yeah, there's still that human element that's going to make it behave correctly, and setting expectations down the road, like Lawton was saying, maybe 6-12 months from now, you do need to set those expectations with people in case they're just going on and saying, how much is my house worth? So that you don't have to overcome more objections later in the process.
Yeah, I think a good exercise to do for everyone listening is, because I just did it before I got on here because I had heard you could do it, is ask ChatGPT about, I'm saying that one, but any of the language models, whatever your favorite one is, ask it the value of your home and just watch what happens, and just sit back, and because I did that for mine, and I asked them, we're thinking of listing it. Can you tell me, what's it worth in today's market? Like, give me a sell now price and a 6 month from now price. And I mean, if for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, which this is the red flag, bing, ding, 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 which is the public in general, because they don't do real estate every day like we've talked about. We know what we're doing. So when I read through the information right away, a few things stuck out to me, like not because it was my house, but because I knew that this was just a feel-good opinion that I was getting from this tool. So it's interesting, the deeper we get into the AI conversation, the more important the human element becomes. And I'm so thankful for that and so relieved by that, because you just said that, and I said it too, the prompts have to be accurate, which is human. I guess eventually maybe you can say, can you give me a prompt? You can say that now. But my problem is that if you're a seller, the prompt's going to be different. The exact same prompt will get you different information for a seller than it will for a buyer, the exact same prompt, because it's trying to make you feel good. It's trying to make you feel satisfied. Google didn't do that. There's a huge difference. Google was telling us facts. Chat is trying to take on a consultative, is that a word? Consultative, that's the word. Consultative personality, which is frightening because it changes. And maybe I'm just saying this out loud, maybe we do the same thing. Maybe honesty isn't always, maybe we don't always lead with just facts. Maybe we do try to pitch it towards the seller, pitch it toward the buyer, same information, kind of maybe we do. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. But one thing, for example, for our house, and you just said broken stair, our house has a dock, but at low tide, you can't float a cracker off my dock. ChatGPT clearly didn't know that because of the price they put on our home. And I put in there, hey, by the way, at low tide, you have to pay attention to, then the value went, why did she not know that? Like, she doesn't know it all is the whole point. I say she because her name is Ruby. Last week I said it would be our 6th child, but it would have been our 7th child if we had another one. Mandy, sorry about that. I don't know who I wasn't including, but it wasn't Hazel. I was definitely including Hazel because she'll watch this episode and be so mad. My 8-year-old watches all her episodes. A few things else. How about Lawton? I've seen you use this staging tools. Like, there's some pretty crazy that our clients are using, pretty crazy staging tools or renovation tools, like remodeling tools, aren't there? Have y'all played with those at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've used it for the last couple listings I've had. I've even had it for if it's not vacant, but getting rid of something that was in the house, or for some reason my photographer took the picture with all the trash cans on the road and I took all the trash cans out. Things like that I've never gotten really into. I know there's others that are better than ChatGPT, but I've just used it the couple times I need to, and I think it's gotten better. But at the same time, it'll hallucinate. And I mean, I told it, no, under that orange light is the dining room, and then it like removes the orange light and puts like a kitchen table, and I'm like, that's not what I said. But they've gotten better and better. And honestly, I mean, even just 8 months ago paid for virtual staging, and I'm never going to do that again. I mean, I did it better. ChatGPT did it better a few days ago than someone else did. So, and eventually, I mean, the stagers will be using that as well. They probably already did, but it's pretty crazy what it can do.
Did y'all notice that Sora has gone away?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the story? Do you know why?
Only read the headline. I didn't dive any deeper because honestly, I was just happy that it went away. I was not a big fan. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was it on literally every video that you saw on social media, those kinds of videos for probably a month or two? It seemed like everything in the feed had every crazy thing, like there was one Lawton that I saw where did you see the one in the interview from after that big basketball game where Boozer just punched Shire right in the face? I was like, what? Or the one where Dan Hurley like headbutted the I don't know, that might have been real.
I think that actually happened, but
that actually happened after the game. I don't know why, but yeah, Sora, which was a big deal. Like, I was listening to Jared James this morning, and he said he was teaching a class on how to use it, and then it disappeared. I mean, so Jared research is pretty good. Like, he knows what's next and new. So the whole point is you got to be careful. Things are changing. Again, humanity. Let's see. How about instant valuations? We've talked about AI-powered mortgage calculators that will give your client false hope if they say, I am buying, and they're telling this more. What is a mortgage calculator? What's that driven to do? It's driven to get your client talking to a loan originator. That's the whole point, matchmaking those two things. So that calculator driven by AI is going to be slanted towards, let's give them more of the good news than the bad news so that we can have that conversation eventually. You don't want to turn somebody away, it's kind of smart marketing, but be careful if you're a user or if your client is, and they come to you and say, I used a mortgage calculator online and I put all my data in there and I can afford X. Just a red flag, I would say, because I think like AI, it's going to say what they want to hear more than it isn't.
Yeah.
How about, were you going to add something, Ashley?
No, I was just agreeing. I hadn't even really thought about that because to me, it's just so easy to use an app that's a mortgage calculator. But maybe if you're asking ChatGPT, am I going to qualify, even before you've spoken to a lender, and then they have this inflated sense of maybe what their purchase power is. It's a great one to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I don't know if mortgage, like loan originators have to, if AI knows a lot about condo tells, I don't know, like, do they know how quickly we know pretty quickly when there's a lawsuit on a building that's going to affect the HOA. We know, we hear, how quickly does information get to chat to get to us? Because I don't think it's instantaneous for it to be in its I don't know the answer to that. Maybe I'm wrong. What about chat bots that are driven by AI? Have you seen those on like regular shopping sites? Mm-hmm. That you think you want to ask question on, and I don't know if I hadn't seen one on. Interestingly enough, I haven't seen one on Amazon, but it's probably because Amazon's so easy you don't need a chat bot. It's just, I mean, they've already got all the problems figured out, but a lot of places it's a chat bot. Have you ever used one of those? That's driven by
Amazon did have one.
Amazon might. Maybe I just order so fast and have it sent to the house I don't ever ask it. I'm just like, go.
I can't really recall if I've used that feature or not. I just feel like I've seen some kind of AI button in the corner of Amazon, but maybe I'm inventing that. Somebody can fact check me.
And what about, I mean, chat bots are, to me, I've been frustrated because eventually they say, what's the eventual answer after I ask it 5 or 6 questions?
Yeah, you have to get connected to somebody to help you.
To a human being.
Yeah.
Right. Jared James was talking about this morning. I was listening to something. He was talking about the self-checkout line at the grocery store. And how often you have to call. I mean, they've got somebody standing right there. Maybe she's watching or he's watching 6 or 7 registers, but is that really easy or more effective always without a human being involved? It's not. He actually said, and I've never experienced this, but in Las Vegas, there are hotels that you check into self-check. And he said it took him like 30 minutes to figure it out. And finally he had to call someone over. And we're like, it's ruining the relationship. And then he got to his room. I mean, off the record, he got to his room and he didn't have a bath cloth. And he whined about that. I was like, oh my God. She said, now he was in Austin actually. And the lady's response was, the person that answered the phone finally, you don't have a washcloth. She said, well, this is a European style hotel. And in Europe, you will never find a washcloth in a hotel. And he goes, I'm in Austin, Texas. Bring me a washcloth. The whole idea is we are in a transitional period right now where, and I think maybe we always have been, but right now for human replacement, that's not going perfectly in every regard. You know, they're swinging way over here, but just be aware that and I hope you're getting comfort and faith from the fact that humans will always need to be related in most cases. Tracy says, we'll self-check in and out for every Hilton she stays at. And Mike, I mean, how many times does Mike check out and in almost every week, 2 or 3 times because he's a pilot? But yeah, I mean, they've got it figured out. If I couldn't do that, you know why? Mandy knows why. Because every time I walk up to the desk at a hotel, I want to ask for an upgrade. And I want to try to use my personality to get a room with a better view, higher floor. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Tracy also said, in digital key, yeah, you could check in on your way. But we did that in Vegas. Tracy says daily. Tracy, I'm so glad you're on here. Let's see. Market forecasts. Do yourself a favor and go to ChatGPT when we're done and type in what's the real estate market like in so-and-so. Somerville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Raleigh, wherever you're listening from. And just sit back and look at what you hear. Ashley, tell me, since you're our genius on the show, where does that? No offense, Tracy, and all of you listening, Mandy or Lawton, but where does Chat get the answer to that?
I just want to point out that just like ChatGPT always flatters me to keep engagement, I'm starting to pick up on the fact that I think Tad does that to keep me coming back to this podcast. So I just want to punt that out there. Anyway, now I got myself off track. What was the question, Tad?
Well, if you ask it, what are the market conditions in so-and-so?
Yeah. So interestingly, we have data that agents can use on a site that's called RPR, Realtor Property Resource. So what I think is cool is that agents can actually use the factual data, and RPR has AI components to it to explain that information in their education posts to the public. And Tracy teaches this. She actually is the genius here. She knows a lot more about it than I do, but there's AI built into our resources where we can now give the market information in a factual, up-to-date way. I personally would not necessarily trust ChatGPT to give me 100% accurate information. I just taught a class in Florence, and 10 minutes before the class started, I asked ChatGPT the average price point of a home in Florence. And then live in the room, I ask those agents to pull up their actual MLS that will tell them the average price point. And it was close, but it was off by about $10,000. And $10,000 is a difference maker sometimes in people's buying power when they're looking at houses. Now it's just an average number. So it wasn't wildly off telling me that the Florence average price point is $1.5 million. But it did not have exactly the factual information. So I don't know that I'm trusting it again for that information. I like using the Realtor resource that has an AI component and then figuring out what I need to educate the public on. And there's the value in an agent bringing you the information and not ChatGPT.
Yeah. And if your client says they're using it, then you can use that example as, hey, so am I. Let's do it this way. Because again, you're confirming the fact that the prompt matters. You're giving it the relevant, valued information that you want it to evaluate, because it will evaluate it way quicker than you will. And it gives some, because if you just ask it, where it's getting the information from is social media conversations, and it'll pull some real data. It doesn't have access to MLS, but because that's private data, well, so to speak. But it goes and gets it just off of the interweb, which may or may not be opinion, may or may not be pertinent. Tracy says, then the advice to consumers for what to do with that information, then the info doesn't matter. Right. So the whole idea is educated prompt. Can't you see your value agents? They are using it. Your clients are using it, but it actually helps you that they're using it. Because now, if you're on your game, you can actually describe it. So here's the last question. Go ahead, Ashley. Your mouth was getting ready to say something.
I know. I want to point out something that Lawton shared
Yes.
a while back in the classroom here with a whole group of agents, and an example of how AI is not going to get this as effectively as a real human helping you. So if you use ChatGPT to say, I'm thinking about buying this house, is the value there? Should I be offering full price? What should I be offering? And it's going to analyze whatever information it pulls, and it's going to, in your example, Tad, it might say, oh, no, don't offer full price. You only want to offer this much. And now on the seller's side, it might be saying, oh, you should list higher than that. You're leaving money on the table. But right now we're talking about the buyer side. So the consumer, let's say, uses that information. Well, Lawton shared in class one time, agents are looking at it as a chess game, not just is there value with that property, but Lawton's looking at if right now we get them to their bottom dollar that they will say yes to, then what does it look like after the home inspection when we need some things fixed? So we have to have the expectation that if we get to this number and kind of lowball the offer and we can negotiate it and get it accepted, after that home inspection, when you want $5,000 in repairs, don't expect that they're going to say yes to any of that. So, Mr. Buyer, do you want to have to fix things when you move into a house, or do you want those repairs already worked out? Because then we shouldn't be beating them up on the front end overpriced so that we can have more amicable conversations about fixing things later on. Like Lawton knew that, and he knows to set those expectations with his clients so they know what the chess game looks like. So I think that is huge, and Lawton's share about that strategy always sticks with me. I thought it was very smart.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's all about setting expectations, being ahead of where you're going. Wayne Gretzky said, skate to where the puck is going, not where it is. Because if you skate to where it is in hockey, it's already over here, and you're going to not be where you need to be. I did want to close this episode. And I know, Ashley, you've got like 11 minutes where you have to do your live class. According to this, I'm not even looking at my watch, 12 minutes. But I want to ask Lawton something. There has been a conversation that has blown up. This is a current event right now, like happening just a couple of days ago in real estate space. Gary Vaynerchuk spoke, Gary V. You can look him up, follow him. Brilliant entrepreneur, but uses the F word a lot, or used to. I mean, I think he probably still does.
He still does.
Because he is who he is. Had his start in the wine business, which I think is fascinating. Incredible story. Should probably get Tracy's comment. There's a word count? I don't think there's a word count. You share whenever you want to, Tracy. So Gary Vaynerchuk said at the Keller Williams family reunion from the main stage, he was one of their speakers. He said, every one of you in this room, all these agents that were in this room, the 12 that were there, that was a joke. That was a Remax joke. It was more than 12 at the Keller Williams family reunion. He said 50% of your time should be spent on content creation. 50%. Well, as you probably know, what would you think when you heard that? That was going to be one question to Lawton, but there is some backlash from that because Brian Buffini said, if you spend 50% of your time on content creation, you will be broke as a realtor. So I wanted to get Lawton's. Yeah, sorry, Vanessa, my true. By the way, congratulations on a great run in real estate. You're doing great right now. I've been watching you on social media. I'm really happy and proud of you. What do you think, Lawton, of that? And I'm gonna put you right in the middle. And I'm not gonna tell you what Jared James's opinion is, but you are a content creator, probably one of the leaders in our group, doing it excellently. You had a virus on TikTok recently, like you got 1.19 million views. But what do you think about that conversation? Give me your opinion.
Well, I actually listen to a ton of Gary Vee stuff, and he does still cuss all the time, which is, whatever, teach their own. But he actually said in that video, he said at least 50%. And I think he would tell you, and if you watch his business, I think he would tell you that every single thing you do should be content creation. And he really drives home that he's moved from telling people to create content to just document. And this is a big thing that I see the value in, that your day-to-day life you should be documenting. It's not creating content. It's not sitting down necessarily and thinking, what are the 10 ideas I should do for today? While you can't do that, you should just be documenting what you do. Most people, if they documented their day, there's going to be someone that finds that relevant and that someone enjoys that, right? There's going to be something that Vanessa could document about her day that's not going to be me, because I don't have kids or I don't have an accent like that. Like, there's going to be people that resonate with that, and she just documents what she's doing. And it's not as much as just being day in the life of a real estate agent. But if she documents instead of creates, that's a big thing. But I think, this is my humble opinion compared to those two people, but I actually think it's spot on, because I think there's so many things that real estate agents do, and it's not just real estate agents, but that's who he's talking to. There's so many people, so many things that agents do that are going to soon not be dollar producing, and it's not happening yet. And Gary Vee's very big on, he tries to find where the attention is and where it's the cheapest, where it's underpriced. That's what his recent book's about. He's trying to find underpriced attention. Well, it used to be he had underpriced attention on email lists. He had an email list and he had 90% open rate, and it was underpriced, and he spent all his time there. Well, then it changed. Then it was commercials. Then it was whatever, direct mail, whatever it was. And he's very big on those things will never go away. There's still people that kill it from direct mail. There's still people that kill it from Google Ads. There's still people that kill it from maybe, I don't know as much, but maybe commercials. But he's very big on finding where underpriced attention is. And right now he's expressed why social media, it's free. It's not always going to be free. It's free. And you can have, like, I had a million people see a post. I'm never probably in my real estate career going to have a million people come to every single open house I ever do, or ever a million referrals from someone. So, I mean, my opinion is I think you should, because that's where the attention is, and that's where it's free. And then you can go even further beyond. You said this a few minutes ago. AI gets some of its information from social media, and he's really big on, one day people aren't going to go look at a billboard and say, you know, I've seen that agent's doing really well. And this, he talked about this in that talk. One day they're going to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I need to sell my house. Who are the best agents in this area? Well, ChatGPT doesn't know that Lawton's out there doing 6 open houses this week, but ChatGPT is going to know that someone on YouTube is going to know that Jeremy Blanton's posted on YouTube and he's big in Myrtle Beach. If Gemini wins the AI race, stuff on YouTube is going to be really important. So if there's someone out there posting on just Instagram, Gemini's not going to know about you. But if you post 15 times a week on YouTube Shorts, it's going to know that I'm a real estate agent in Myrtle Beach. So while I agree, I think if a brand new agent comes into the business and they only post on social media and do nothing else, they will be broke. But join the club of being a new real estate agent and probably being broke. I think that's where a lot of attention is. And if you think that it's just 15 and 20-year-olds, you're just wrong. I mean, I had that video that went viral. I have 3 leads, all of which are coming at some point in April to look at houses in Myrtle Beach. That took me 7 minutes to make that, maybe an extra 2 to make sure I put the right hashtags. But like, I think it's spot on, and I think he's obviously very extreme, but he encourages people to do the things that he knows is going to work. His businesses, he works with Poppy and Dude Wipes and these people that they were these little companies, and then they went on TikTok, and now Poppy's Poppy. I mean, Poppy started. I mean, it's huge, and it started in COVID. Dude Wipes started around the same time, but they went on social media, and then they're ginormous. So I think I would side more with him. I mean, I agree that, and I don't think he ever means to do social media and ignore everything else. He means to do that while you're doing everything else. If you're going to an open house, you shouldn't sit there and scroll looking at videos. Why not make them? And I did listen to what Jared James says, and I think he kind of has some of these thoughts. Like, I think he said at the end of at least a video I saw, like, I'd be more interested if you're complaining about the 50%, what are you doing with 25% of your time that's actually making you money? Or are you watching social media? Or are you at the grocery store? Or like whatever. But I had some, I mean, I'm talking for a long time. I'll be done in a second. But I made a video. I went to the grocery store and I bought lunch for my wife. And I documented the whole thing. First of all, I had people comment because I said I was going into Lowe's to get my wife lunch. And people didn't realize there's a Lowe's Foods. So it kind of made me look like a bad husband for a second. They thought I was going to Lowe's. But I had a person DM me from that video about Myrtle Beach because I showed that I was in Myrtle Beach. And that's something that I was going to do anyway. So my humble opinion is I think you're right. And I think you should spend even more than that. But I think it's because it's documenting, not necessarily creating.
So I owe the audience an apology. I mean, you do this almost every episode, and Mandy said it to me last week. She said he doesn't say much, like he's just sitting there. You can't tell what he's thinking, but when he does, man, I'm sorry I talk so much. What you just said was brilliant, and I'm not surprised because you're doing so well. But documenting versus creating I'm definitely going to do a video on that. I mean, that is huge differentiator because you're already living the documented life. Leverage. That's time management. That is brilliant. And I agree. I think the difference is that Gary V, let me see, someone else, but you have good intentions. I wish I could read it in her accent.
There's clearly not a word count also.
There's clearly not a word count. Continue to do the right thing and work and show up for your clients. Vanessa, you're doing that, and I'm real proud of you. And then, of course, that's just how I was wrapping it up. But Gary V is in a business that is not as relationship intensive as making the biggest purchase in your life, right? So I would say that, like, you've captured the client on social media because you were documenting. Now, in order to get those people to contract, you can't just do that on social media. There's going to be a lot of intensive. And once you've done that, like once they buy, you've had a relationship, they buy or sell with you, then you can keep in touch with them socially, but you better also be in touch with them mano to mano, like Brian Buffini recommends. So I think it's both. Brilliant insight. This is going to be an episode. We need to dig deeper on this because I think there's a lot that we can talk about. And clearly, Tracy, and there is there is one on YouTube. Where's Vanessa watching?
On Facebook.
Tell us. Engaged. Congratulations. I thought you were married with a family, but I got it. Okay. Rise Up in Real Estate. We're to the end of our time. I was going to keep this to 45 minutes, which we did. We're at 59 minutes.
Wait, you teased the audience halfway through that you were going to ask a random question.
That was it.
Okay. I thought you were going to ask us for a favorite recipe again. Okay,
no, I'm done with recipes. I got plenty. Joe Bren referrals. That's one of my old time friends right there. Joe Bren has a tattoo that says referrals. That's what it's all about, and I love that. Thank you, Rise Up Nation, for being here. Lawton, Ashley, again, you guys say all the good stuff. I just fill the space with other words. Thank you very much for your time and your expertise. Next Wednesday, remember, we have the CMN Miracle champion child on our show with her mother talking about their tragedy that has turned into triumph. So I hope you'll join us next Wednesday at 10. I'll send you out hopefully the right reminder. But Ashley, have a fantastic day. Lawton, you too, and Rise Up Nation. Great virtually seeing you all here today.